Alright folks, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host Josh, and this is part 22 of our Let's Play of The Letter. When we last left off with I don't want to say friend, because I'm still pretty sour on her, but our acquaintance Marianne here, she had gone over to the Wright's place, and we had some weird, voices in her head that I think is this blonde girl that she's, like, obsessed with, but I'm not sure. She has some history with some blonde girl. We got a little scare at the television there with not the girl from the ring, but instead that blonde girl. And then we sort of, went through a whole bunch of marital struggles of Hannah and Luke. We sort of took Hannah's side there for the most part. And now here we are at the mansion with the Wrights. And here we go. We're able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem with the missus not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seems sturdy during the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage, nor wear and tear, probably rethreading during renovations. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood is properly installed and the bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum, though. Structural conditions, from what I can see, without actually dismantling the thing, look to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. The work in it should be commended. Well done. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall, because he wants to build his garage there.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
Oh, she says garage. That's interesting, because I'm pretty sure they were saying garage before.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
But also, like, why would we ever do that? Luke is a complete moron. Let's all just say what we're thinking. The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand. Again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead.
No! You get nothing!
At least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. Feels so old and dead in here.
You know, on that, I would kind of agree.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there is a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone are to see them like this, there is little doubt that they loved each other. I don't buy it. Like, I guess can there be a relationship in which, you know, there is love, but it's mostly it's mostly hate? If that exists, then I suppose that's what these two have.
Of course. And I want a garden full of them.
Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
If you hear me screaming because of the ghouls, just ignore me. That leaves Mrs. Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere.
Is there some meaning to the daffodils?
I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name.
No. The letter. Don't even try this. Don't even try to make me have sympathy for Luke. You won't succeed. You will not succeed.
He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils, least of all. What's next? Am I going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings? No, because he's terrible. Liking flowers does not make you a good person.
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
Like, yes, there's always a tragic past that makes the people that are terrible, terrible. But that doesn't excuse their terribleness. When she goes without even asking if I need her here, I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of an interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that have both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with whiskey. I have to look through the place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Which floor should I go to first? Interesting. Okay, so ground floor would presumably then have a guaranteed interaction with Luke, which I would like to avoid, so I'm gonna say let's go to the first floor. Now, granted, is being alone on the first floor gonna mean we're probably gonna have some spooky stuff happen? Probably. But I'll take ghouls over Luke any day of the week. I've already seen enough of this floor during the open house. That's also true. That's also true. Of course, I know that's just a convenient excuse. I just don't want to be in the same room as Whiskey anytime soon. So I might as well just go upstairs first. The banisters and the grand staircase's landing are solid and a proper height. Any lower, and there would be trouble. There's a small catch in the carpet, though, but as long as nobody tries to run down the stairs until it gets fixed, things should be alright. Yeah, I don't see either Hannah or Luke as the running downstairs type. And the stained glass? Art. Art! Now that's art. Restored, no doubt, in the image of the last lady and the Lord of Ermengarde. Or was it supposed to be until Lady Charlotte's fiancé was brutally murdered? This definitely has no importance to the greater plot. By a witch! A witch, of all things, from what I've read. You'd think the historians of this place will be a lot more scrutinizing, filtering out stuff like that. I'm amazed they bothered with it, instead of replacing it with some generic cookie-cutter design. So, presumably then, our blonde friend here is Charlotte Ermengarde, and that's the same one we saw, the blonde girl with the creepy grin, in the memory flashback we got after Zach's death. This entire piece alone would have cost roughly 500, even £1 million. Lady Charlotte Ermengarde and her beloved. Looking at the mosaic, it's not too far of a stretch of the imagination to believe that the depicted images could be Mr. and Mrs. Wright. Yeah, I suppose. It can be easily assumed as such if one doesn't know the history of the mansion. Really, a place like this should be protected by the government as a landmark. But what can I do about it? Rich people gonna be rich people. Ooh, it's been an age since we've been here. I don't have super good memories of here. Walking into the East Wing, I try to go into the theater, but am met with an obstacle. The obstacle that is locked doors. 2 doors. 2, and both of them are locked. Who ever heard of such a thing? I'd be frustrated. Would be, if I hadn't already snuck off while the Wrights were having their little business meeting with Miss Cooper before to take a peek. With what Mr. Wright wanted, we'd have to install a powerful projector, the type they use in cinemas, and a projection screen. The seats would have to be reupholstered, if they're to be any comfortable, and the walls will have to be covered in dark material, paint, wallpaper, or instant wall-to-wall carpeting. And we're gonna need, like, some good candies, like the good stuff, some nice sour gummies. Really, of all the rooms I could be jealous of, it's this one. I could just picture myself in there watching old Kung Fu flicks on a weekend-long marathon. Makes me wonder what kind of movies Mrs. Wright would like. Rom-coms, perhaps? Wow, judgy. Stereotypical. Her husband, on the other hand, I'd rather not think about it. Probably some, like... he's probably big into the Saw movies. That's my guess. He's a big Saw fan. In the middle of my notation and planning, I didn't even realize that I'm not alone until I'm caught standing in front of a locked door, like a fool.
Were you meaning to go in there?
Aww.
I'm afraid we won't be able to open it up today.
Oh, I'd much rather hang out with you, Hannah, than I would Luke, so this is fine.
Oh well, I wanted to, but it's fine. I can still survey the rest of the place.
Apologies, but a key was missing when they were handed over. They told us that they'd get right back to us with it.
What? But aren't they supposed to hand over all the keys once property changes hands? That can be grounds to file a complaint.
You really want to make something of this?
They were already kind enough to let us move in so early. need to raise a fuss about it.
Although that is suspicious, now that I think about
Worst
it.
comes to worst, we can call for a locksmith.
The air is heavy and somber when she grows quiet and glances out the window, out towards the vast expanse that surrounded what would be their house, their home. Then she looks back at me with a sigh and a bitter smile.
Flowers. Yellow flowers. Daffodils, dandelions, and sunflowers and the sort all up front. Just a whole garden of them.
Just nothing but them. In fact, destroy the house. Nothing but daffodils.
They'll make the house look lovely, won't they?
Of course. A garden is a wonderful addition to any home.
As I say this, her eyes roam over me, scrutinizing and thoughtful. I have to hold back the shiver that threatens to run down my spine at being inspected so closely. You are so into Hannah, Marianne.
Yes. It must be nice.
We're still talking about the gardens, yes?
We're not talking about me, are we?
I mean, not having to worry about what another person thinks of you.
Oh, that's something that Marianne thinks about constantly, from what I gather.
What do you mean by that?
She lifts her hand and points to her wedding ring before it falls listlessly to her side.
Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I didn't marry Luke.
Probably would have been happier.
There'll be no fights about walk-in closets or silly helipads. I could do with this place as my heart desires until there's nothing but content. Then again, I wouldn't have bought this place if it wasn't a gift for him. I probably wouldn't even be in Luxbourne if it wasn't for him. Maybe I would have moved to London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I might have even left the country altogether. France, Germany, Spain, Canada, Sweden, even America.
Ooh.
The possibilities would have been endless.
I really can't recommend America. I don't know what to say to that. What is there to say?
I'm sorry, I must sound so petty and ungrateful.
Sometimes.
I do love him. So very much, even if he can be a bit difficult at times.
But I also just utterly despise him, and our relationship has no love.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just confused why you're telling me this, of all people.
Just a whim, I think. Just flights of fancy, that's all. Don't you ever think about one decision you've made in your life and wonder how much would change if you chose to do things differently?
You know, like if you made a decision that, you know, got Zach killed, and you wonder, hey, maybe we could go back and do that a little differently.
I try not to dwell on the past, ma'am.
The key word is try, of course. Thinking of the past brings up too many ghosts and ghouls and goblins. Memories of her. And I do wonder what would change if I just said yes when she asked for me. Maybe she'd still be with me. I return to the present, just like I said. I try not to dwell on the past. I mean, again, anything that reinforces them not being together, I'm gonna choose that. Why don't you decide on your own, Hannah? Her worries seem simple enough. Uh-oh. 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 I mean, it doesn't have to be difficult as she makes it out to be, right?
Why don't you decide on your own?
I meant nothing against Mr. Wright, of course, though whiskey buggered me to no end. By law, she would be owner of the house. Well, unless they signed a joint property ownership anyway, which is a rare thing, as far as I know, especially among these highbrow types. Sure, they could actually love their spouse, I don't doubt the possibility. But money is money, and it makes people do the most horrible things sometimes.
It's your house. You can paint the whole place pink if you want, and there's not much he can do.
The somber expression she had changes to a look of contempt. I more meant about, like, relationships than I did, you know, her ability to do with the house, but whatever.
I could, but we are husband and wife. Equal partners in marriage, Marianne, though I can see that you don't understand.
I can see that you've never truly loved anyone in your life, so...
This is his home as much as it is mine. I'm not going to go behind his back over a room. And how dare you suggest that?
Oh. How do I even talk her down without causing further offense? It's in my attempt to shake off my own drama that I ended up tripping right into theirs. Because really, I have no business meddling in the affairs of my clients unless it's involved interior design or architecture. Yet here I am, opening my mouth and yapping. I do hate to see a good woman down.
That's not what I meant by it. I just mean that maybe you don't have to get the approval of your husband all the time.
Maybe you just... He sucks, and maybe you deserve better.
Or well, okay, fine. I know nothing about married life, Mrs. Wright. You're right about that. But I still think you're allowed your indulgences every now and then.
Of course, my form of indulgence meant buying old Slate 78 RPM country records which I don't even dare use with my gramophone. For her, it could very well be buying entire houses.
That's just my take on it. A perfect relationship is as rare as hen's teeth. You got what you got.
And you gotta deal with it for the rest of your life.
I mean, you're doing well enough without my advice. Sure, look it.
You sure about that, Marianne? Have you looked at this? That looks to placate her somewhat. She looks away and starts to favor the view outside once more, with a faraway look in her eyes.
Feel free to look around the rest of the house. Everything but the theatre should be open. Just call if there's need of me.
Of course, Mrs. Wright.
I really shouldn't have opened my big mouth in the first place. This sort of thing only gets me in trouble. Keep it clean, keep it simple and clean, just as Kingdom Hearts demands, and stick to business, that's it. Be professional. But I fail to do that just because of a pretty face. When she turns to leave, she glances back at me before disappearing into the foyer. I look out the window from where she was standing, and I move on, alone with nothing but my thoughts and her.
Finally, some peace and quiet. Thought the old biddy would never leave.
Yeah, that old biddy. It's utter madness, this hearing things. I reckon it's the stress, though I don't know what exactly I'm stressed about. If meeting Mrs. Wright has really thrown me for a loop, I'd be worried. If I'm developing some sort of psychosis or disorder, well, I'd call a doctor. But hopefully it isn't that. Not right here, and not right now. I mean, it could just be that personal talking cricket, the conscience, so to speak. And I'm only noticing now. It's the first time I've ever thought about sort of morality, though if it isn't very helpful. Pushing the dilemma of voices in my head aside, I go back to work. But I can barely make it a few steps before everything tilts and shifts. I don't really stumble, but it feels like I'm being thrown off my feet, and the rest of the world just follows. Though my feet stay firmly on the ground, even if I stay mostly upright, I feel like I've been heaved and put off balance. I have to close my eyes in the hopes of willing the sudden sense of vertigo away, but when I open them... Yeah. Well, I don't feel any less sick because of the sight that greets me. Blood dripped from the walls and the ceiling, pooling downwards and seeping into the curtains and the carpet. A wave of nausea, stronger than the last, hits me, along with the overpowering stench of blood and gore. I want to bolt. The rational part of my head is telling me to flee, and I would have gladly done as it asked if only I didn't hear her.
In here, Marianne. Come on. I have something to show you.
No, I really don't like this. I could have ignored it, would have ignored it, if I only heard it in my head. But I swear that this time, it's coming from one of the rooms, much further into the study. I feel compelled to pay attention. I can't just turn around and leave. Not when it's her. I don't even think as I follow the sound of her voice. Well, that's probably a poor decision, Marianne. Ooh! Ooh, a little flashback. Lorraine. Lovely Amanda Lorraine Lacerfiona. She was my friend, the only one that I had at St. Samthon's. I was a scholar, the charity case, in a school for privileged and prestigious young girls. They all looked down at me, if they cared to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. Yeah, this is definitely the girl we saw in the television reflection. This is the pink that I noticed, definitely. All except her.
Oh, stop your crying. You know better than to listen to Maeve. Why, I ought to teach that butterface a lesson.
Wait, no, lass! I don't want you getting into trouble with the sisters again!
Relax. It's not like I'm going to stomp her and her lackey's arses flat like last time.
Come on, let's just go back to our dorm room. I don't want to be on my Tobler while you go get yourself punished.
The heck's a Tobler?
You'll be fine. Gip's there with you.
Lorraine was there when I needed her, through my highs and lows. Having her as a friend made being in a strange school, away from my father, all the more tolerable. She saw this poor, helpless girl who was kept down and shunned by everyone else, and being the kind soul that she was, she rescued me. So brave, so beautiful. She was something else.
I'll eat all the chocolates stashed away in your closet if you go.
I can get more. Just don't go complaining to me if you get a tummy ache because of that.
Well, you don't want to get detention on a weekend, do you? It's a Friday. We can go to town and have some karaoke. Ah,
And we can have a go at druids and demons again. You're not going to miss that just because of Maeve, are you?
Sometimes I question what I did to deserve a friend like her. In the darkest corners of my mind, where traitorous thoughts lurked, I thought that she only felt sorry for me. Maybe she was just being a good Samaritan, offering a helping hand. And perhaps I'd been too selfish to return the favor.
You have a point. I'll just kick her arse on Monday then.
That's not what I mean.
I know what you mean, Em.
Wait, where are you going? You just told me you wouldn't cause trouble.
I still have something to do. Don't worry. It's not like I'm going to burn down her dorm room or something criminal like that. I'm just going to talk to her. Maybe I'll make it so that her room smells like a dog's air biscuit. That'll make it an excellent weekend.
Sounds like a great weekend to me.
I'll see you in a bit, Marianne. Lots of toddlers.
What the heck's a toddler? Because when she told me that she loved me, I couldn't admit that I felt the same way. Not to her. Not even to myself. It was wrong. I was taught that way. Husband and wife. One man and woman. Aw, Marianne. Unclean. Impure. I prayed for her and I, for her sins and for salvation. I wanted to apologize for disregarding her feelings so callously. It must have been like a slap to the face for her. But life had gotten in the way. Exams, which were trivial in hindsight now, took top priority. I had to keep my grades up to keep my scholarship for my father. I told myself I would apologize to her when those were over, that I needed to focus first and not let anything distract me. If it had been easy when she avoided me like the plague. She was upset. I get that. Well, okay. You know, I will say that does... I'm starting to have sympathy for Marianne again, although, I mean, you know, kind of, I don't know, I shouldn't blame her. I shouldn't victim blame. I was gonna say it's her fault for not just letting, you know, her love prevail, but it's not her fault. I thought I had the time to make things right, but...
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th-year dead.
Oh, no.
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
They told us that it was an accident. That was the official statement. But I knew better. She was dead because of me.
Maeve had a hoot and I kicked the bucket, didn't she? Ding dong, the witch is dead!
She had, though she didn't say which, Lorian.
But at least
Lorraine.
Maeve had the
Hang on,
courage to admit how she felt about me.
I don't even know how long I've been stuck here in a trance. In the mirror, Lorraine smiles at me. She's as beautiful as I remember her. But then, I feel bile rise up in my throat as our clean image warps into how she looked when they had found her dead, lying on the cold, hard ground. Good Saint Dimphna, great wonder worker in every affliction of mind and body, help me. I'm seeing things, hearing things. Am I going completely insane? Looking everywhere but at her, I hope and pray that it's enough to will whatever this is to go away. It doesn't even immediately register in my head that I can just leave.
You, on the other hand, can't even look me in the eye.
This isn't real. You're not. You're dead.
I'm dead. Because of you. And you won't even look at me. Look at me.
My breathing quickens. I can feel my heart being torn apart by her words.
I'm so sorry, Lorraine.
Look at me!
I can't take it because she's right. It was my fault. The least I can do is look at what I've done. Lorraine, broken and bleeding, looks at me with such hate-filled eyes. An unnatural smile stretches across her face, and I can only see malice in it. Then she lunges as the mirror ripples around her form, the glass parting like the water's surface for her. She grips my shoulders, and I can feel her nails dig deep, sharp even through the fabric of my clothes.
There you are.
Okay, oh god, she's, what, okay, yep, getting it, AD, okay.
You love me!
I'm sorry! Apologies spill through my lips as tears cloud my vision, but I won't give in to this madness. With every bit of strength I have left, I struggle to get away from her. Fear grips and threatens to choke me. I endure, I escape, and without turning back, I stumble back out. In my panic, I didn't even care to look where I'm going. With one hand on the wall to steady me, I just hobble as fast as I can away from the study, away from that mirror. Freedom is bittersweet. I'm free from the madness, it seems, as running out into the hallway reveals it to be in pristine condition. But it means I've turned my back on Lorraine again. I mean, Marianne, come now. You have to understand that was like... not real. I mean, the the like worst case scenario is like that's a demon becoming the form of her to torment you or get you or something. Come on. I have no plans of stopping, not until I know I'm safe. And if that means walking back to Luxborn, as ridiculous as the idea is, then so be it. Someone suddenly grabs hold of me, however. Fingers digging deep into my shoulder, and my heart nearly stops. My body seizes, and I nearly scream.
Marianne, you look awful. I mean, not awful, but...
not ugly, but...
Did something happen? Are you alright?
Oh, you don't know the half of it, Hannah.
Mrs. Wright, I...
Aww. Without thinking, I sought comfort, seeing that it wasn't her. It's a sudden, impulsive thing to do, and had I been in better condition, I wouldn't even dare of doing such a thing. But I didn't know what else to do. Though I know I shouldn't, her warmth, her scent, they grounded me. She is, well, okay, no, listen, I was with it for a little bit, but this is getting a little inappropriate, Marianne. She is intoxicating.
Marianne, what's going on? Oh, you're shaking like a leaf.
Tremors run through my body as soon as my mind realized I'm no longer in danger. I wanted to cry, scream about what I've seen, but like a scared child, I couldn't control myself. My mind couldn't reconcile with what I'd seen. I should just write it off as a figment of my imagination, yet I can still feel her nails cutting into my skin.
Are you sick? Should I call for a doctor?
A certain kind of doctor, maybe.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright. Just feeling a little woozy and lightheaded is all.
Let's get you somewhere to sit down then. Come on, don't worry, I have you.
A lie. But a whole lot less complicated than telling her I was attacked by a dead girl. That's, you know, true. When the feeling of fear eases off, I feel nothing but shame for my actions. I quickly back away as I clear my throat and nod my thanks.
I think I've had enough looking around. If it's all right with you and Mr. Wright, I'll meet you outside.
If you're sure, I'll have the car started. Do you need assistance heading downstairs?
I'm all right, ma'am. Just go on ahead and I'll be right there.
Seems to placate her worries, though only for a brief second. Before she heads down, I don't miss the concerned glance she shoots my way, hidden quickly under another smile. I won't begrudge her for it, that worry. The look on my face must have been a strange enough sight in its own. Even I'm still reeling from whatever that was. Her voice still whispers in my ear. After all these years, she's still... No, Marianne. Shaking my head off the thoughts, I drag in a breath, then follow shortly after Mrs. Wright. Whatever has happened in the past, it's long gone, only memories now. And those are things I can no longer bring back. Whew. Alright. Well, okay, so I mean, let's do a quick debrief here. I do think it's interesting that for Marianne, every like scare so far, every like haunting thing that has happened with Marianne has been this past memory, right, of Lorraine. Like that's the thing that's haunting her, which is the most concrete, like, oh, this is an actual thing that happened haunting you in this moment. Whereas for Zach, Hannah, and Isabella, all three of them, the like thing that's chasing them is Girl from the Ring, black hair girl, who clearly has some kind of past with the mansion. So I wonder what it is about Marianne that's different, or if we are going to get Girl from the Ring eventually. Is Girl from the Ring just, like, masquerading as Lorraine as the thing that, you know, she fears most? I don't know. That's interesting. But we are going to have to discover what else awaits us with Marianne and her you know, sad, dark past next time. Until then, this has been your host, Josh, here at Downstage Gaming, and I will see you all next time.